Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. This is Anonymous T. Hope you're having an amazing day today. Today, I am recapping a live that Mr. Dennis Byron did last night. I will be recapping the live that he did about an hour or so ago in another video coming up right after this one. And I wanted to kind of just break down some of the highlights that he said in this video. And I believe like the last 15 or 20 minutes or so was questions. So please keep in mind, I think we are at day 8 of this trial. So either by this afternoon or by Monday, hopefully we will have a verdict from the jury because the judge wants to wrap this up. Like Dave Chappelle, wrap it up. Okay, let's get to it. Let's get to the summary. So again, in the live, and I will link the YouTube live as well as I will link, because I found the phone call, the infamous phone call of Tasha K and Lovely T. I will also link that in the description box if you guys have a free amount of 2 hours to listen to that. So I will put that in there as well. But again, Mr. Dennis Byron reiterated from, his tweets and everything else that Tasha K had perjured herself because she had said a different testimony to the deposition versus what she said on the stand versus what was played in the video. And so he feels from his perspective that Cardi B's lawyers are going to rip her apart, that Cardi B's lawyers allegedly want to do 3 more hours of cross-examination against Tasha K. So it sounds like they have a lot that they want to break down from that video and from whatever else that they have dug up, during that time period. Also, people have to keep in mind the jurors. So I think there's 6 or 7 white people that are on the jury and 1 black person. So most of those jurors have never heard the type of language and display that Tasha K has before. So for them, it is very shocking and very surprising. So again, it was reiterated that Tasha K is trying to make Lovely T a scapegoat. And that's the thing. It's like she keeps trying to, place blame on other people or mention other people. Like the other day mentioning Nicki Minaj and just mentioning all of these other people. And you're the one that's on trial. You're the one that is on the trial of your life in federal court with everything on the line. Everything that you have worked for on the line, depending on what happens. And so then Tasha K said on the stand that a lawyer fan told her that the cease and desist was fake and to throw it away. And then there was some talk that it wasn't an attorney. So again, it's like Tasha K, she kept fumbling over her words. She was confused when she was asked by Sarah Mates, who is Cardi B's attorney, does she know that she perjured herself? And so they had to explain to Tasha K what it means to perjure yourself. So, they're like, when you said this, you said you didn't have an attorney. Were you lying then or were you lying now? The infamous quote from Miss Sarah Mates. And so again, there's likely going to be another hearing for this perjury case potentially, and also potentially a tax evasion case based off of everything that has transpired thus far in this trial in less than barely 2 weeks when you think about it, because technically this is only day 8 of court, but we've had so many days where we've either let out early or there's just been so much drama and circus and shenanigans. So we haven't even had 8 full days of this trial when you break it down. So then, of course, Dennis Byron was talking about, with perjury, of course, you could either be fined or sanctioned or have jail time and, this and that. Said in the deposition that she had an attorney, said on video that she had an attorney, but on the stand said that she did not have an attorney. And so then Tasha K's lawyer, or not Tasha K's lawyer, sorry about that, Cardi B's lawyer, Sarah Mates, was asking, are you trying to clean this up right now? And again, then trying to come clean that she had a friend that was an attorney for family law. So then Cardi B's attorney asked So you asked a family court lawyer advice on a defamation case. Well, Tasha K also hired a criminal defense attorney for a civil defamation case. So again, that's the thought process. So then the attorney asked if Tasha K Googled the name of the attorneys on the cease and desist letters that were sent to her. and see, this is the problem. The problem is when it gets to a point when people are talking down to you and making you feel like an idiot or like a moron, then it's just bad. Then it's just, it was already game over because Tasha K wouldn't let up off of the trolling. But to go on the stand again and get dismantled, get disrespected, to get humiliated in a federal courtroom. And we are going to have access soon enough to these transcripts to get the blow by blow of how awful this really truly was. It's just embarrassing. All of this is complete and utter embarrassing. So then they said, essentially, Mr. Dennis Byron said they'll have to see whether or not this family court attorney is going to be contacted or not for the potential perjury case. But again, if they care about their law license, they are probably going to be like, thanks but no thanks. I'm going to save myself. So, but again, Mr. Dennis Byron reiterated that Cardi B's attorneys plan on going in on Tasha K today, and they're likely pissed off that they had to waste time sitting through the 2-hour audio when they were competent to clip the appropriate parts of the audio to present their case to the jury versus listening to all 2 hours of the madness and the manipulation and the secret recording that Tasha K did of, somebody that she thought was supposed to be her supposed friend, but you don't record secretly your friends. Like, you don't do that. So then also, an exclusive that Mr. Dennis Byron did not previously report, but when the attorneys were leaving, because I don't know if you guys will notice, but pretty much when Mr. Dennis Byron and Choke No Joke will be outside filming when, court is over, 9 times out of 10, we always see like Tasha K and her legal team and her husband. So what happened was, while Mr. Dennis Byron was outside, he saw, Olga and her co-counsel walking off. And so, he's a reporter. So he asked for a statement if it was true that it was Tasha K that left the review for their client. And if that was their client on the website, on the AVVO website, where Tasha K allegedly gave Olga 1 star and said that she was never hiring her again. And they asked, Mr. Dennis Byron asked for a comment, asked for a statement. Now, he's a reporter, so that is the perfect opportunity for PR for you to denounce or deny or say it's not true if, in fact, Tasha K did not write that review. Because if it's not true, why wouldn't you deny it? And so instead, the co-counsel didn't say anything. So yeah. But there was just too much details in that review for it not to be Tasha K. And so then Mr. Dennis Byron was asking the winos who said that it was fake or that it was doctored or that it was not Tasha K, where are you at? And that's another thing. These winos, and there's already comments already today. You guys are already up and at it. You guys already got your marching orders with your wine glasses. Listen, stop spreading lies in the comments. Because there are some other lies we're going to get to, but this was one of them. You guys tried to spread the lie that this wasn't Tasha K that wrote the review. Then you also tried to spread the lie that the review was deleted. The review is not deleted. You can still go to the website and still see the review. So again, stop with the lies. Please stop with the lies. But yeah, so he was saying to the winos, stop saying in the comments, that the post is deleted. Like, again, because he said that he was gonna, it was just madness in the chat. I'm kind of disappointed because he didn't leave the chat up because there was just So many gems in there. But then, so then there was another lie. Another lie by the winos. So I don't know if somebody sent this to Tasha K and thought that this Cardi B video where she's speaking, Spanish and English and everything else, discussing the rumors that were said about her from Tasha K. So the winos presented that video is meaning that it's damning against Cardi B and that she's admitting that she has cold sores. However, the actual translation of the video is Cardi B is denouncing all of the rumors of having herpes, of having cold sores. So again, it's the incompetence for me. It's the audacity for me. It is the audacity. Why do you not know what the translation is of the video before you just haul off and just, send these things to Tasha K as going to be the smoking gun for her case? Everything that you have tried to say was going to be, a strike against Cardi B ends up being a win for her because you guys have the wrong intel. You guys have the wrong arguments for a defamation case. It's just a mess. It is just a hot mess. Somebody asked in the comments also if Offset was at court, and Mr. Dennis Byron said no, but actually Offset was out of the country for like about a week or so. So, but then he recently got back, but even Mr. Dennis Byron said he's likely at home with the kids, because obviously, who wants to have, their kids in that type of, circus and environment and everything else. So he's probably at home with the nanny with the kids. And so again, Mr. Dennis Byron referenced the review of Olga because it referenced in the review specifically that she stutters a lot. And Mr. Dennis Byron, he could vouch since he's in the courtroom. He's one of the, 4 main people who've been reporting on this from day one. And he said she does stutter. She stutters in the trial and everything else. So there was too many details in that review about Tasha K's case for it not to be Tasha K. And so if a judge is already calling out Tasha K's attorneys even before we got to this trial, telling Tasha K that they weren't prepared, that they weren't professional, telling them this during pre-trial, telling them this during when he threw out the countersuit, Tasha K knew what it was. Essentially, Tasha K would have had to have spent the money to basically buy, and pay for a retainer for a brand new legal team, which she didn't want to do, but she would have been better off because the attorneys would have told her from the start not to pursue this because there was too much evidence that was overwhelmingly against her to prove Cardi B's point. And so, essentially Mr. Dennis Byron, he validated everything that was in the post that Tasha K made back in June of 2001. And he said it's literally playing out in court. And he said, essentially, like, if you could be a psychic, if you could see the future, like, this literally came into manifestation. Because how else could you know specific details? How could you know the details of how Olga moves in the courtroom? How could you know the details of how Olga is an attorney unless you hired her yourself and had that experience yourself? Nobody else is going to lie about that. And so then there are a lot of questions in the chat asking why the channel hasn't been taken down, why Tasha K's YouTube channel hasn't been taken down, and if there has been attempt to take down the YouTube channel. And so people, he tried to put it into perspective that you don't think that hasn't been attempted already by Cardi B and her lawyers. But a good analogy is the case that Michelle had against Funky Dineva, where she was trying to look for him to pay his judgment and the damages that he owed her that she was awarded in the case. And by the time, they were finally able to get a hold of his YouTube and the YouTube was back in his name or his account or whatever, then they immediately sent her the money. So I think what YouTube is doing is they are waiting for whatever the outcome of this case is. And then once they get that injunction, they're going to have to pay Cardi B and her lawyers. So I think that's what's happening, because once the federal judge rules, then that's when you're going to see some changes with YouTube. And it's kind of it's like a gift and a curse right now, because I'm sure YouTube is loving all of the content and all of the traffic that is coming to, their platform from all of these content creators that are discussing the case. However, it also is bad, depending on how bad the damages and the ruling and everything else is for Tasha K, on how much this can open up the floodgates for other people to go in, for other people to, use Cardi B's case as an example to, have their own case of, defamation, cyberbullying, and everything else. So it's a gift and a curse, literally. But if this is, rules in Cardi B's favor, YouTube doesn't have a choice at this point. They're definitely at least going to have to take down the Cardi B videos at the minimum. But now you open the door for so many things to be seen as defamation. And so, Mr. Dennis Byron likes to refer to this as cyberbullying, with basically being on some sort of a social media platform, saying defamatory and slanderous things about somebody. And, he's also referencing back to Cardi B's testimony where she said she was suicidal, and her therapist verified that as well. And, he doesn't, he takes suicide very seriously. And before we had the social media era, people were getting bullied even from like the magazines and the tabloids and offline, and were still suicidal. But now it's on a 24/7 news cycle, a 24/7 social media platforms that get magnified, when they're all reposted and retweeted and on Instagram and all of these other platforms, then it's the whole world that's aware of what's happening. And plenty of celebrities have committed suicide. So that was another point that Mr. Dennis Byron wanted to bring up, not to make, to take this very seriously. And so I don't know if Cardi B's attorneys were aware of this review or not, or if this was flagged, but I am surprised that Tasha K's attorneys never said anything to her, or they never quit the case. And how that was able to just get away with sitting online for 6 months. But Mr. Dennis Byron said he found out because somebody sent him a DM at like 3:30 in the morning. So then there were questions about who determines the damages. Will it be like the judge or the jury or whomever? And, then he also was being asked on whether or not, again, because there were several questions about what the status of Tasha K's YouTube channel is going to be. And so he basically said he's not sure if YouTube's going to delete the channel. But it is a possibility because of, the injunction that's going to happen. Because it's a bad PR for YouTube, with federal courts ruling on this type of defamation. And then this could also set a precedent, that Mr. Dennis Byron was saying, for petitions for YouTube to police their platform and, have even more stricter rules for content creators than what they've even have now. So, but yeah. But people then were trying to question in the chat, well, what if it wasn't Tasha K? So again, this push to try to, make it as though Tasha K is innocent of all these things. And so Mr. Dennis Byron was back and said, okay, you're asking why somebody would put a review out that while that person is still their attorney for this case, but this also is somebody who still has that same review up during this case. This still is somebody who did not take down their videos of Cardi B. during this case. This is somebody who hired a criminal defense attorney for the civil defamation case. So it's like, when you put all of it together, it doesn't surprise me at all that that review is still up there and that the videos are still being left up there, because in Tasha K's mind, she's going to get all of the money that she can out of this. But the problem is, it's going to cost her more, way more than anything else, had she just took down the videos from the start, and we wouldn't even be in court. So then somebody was asking why nobody has heard from Lovely T, or why Lovely T hasn't responded. And so he basically said that at this point, like, unless Lovely T is going to be a witness, she doesn't need to say anything at this time, you know? So, but yeah, he said that he thinks that she might say something at some point in time, maybe at a later date, but unless she's a witness, like, there's no need for her to say anything at this point. So I'm not sure why people were curious about that, but then Mr. Dennis Byron, he wanted to allude to some things that he said he didn't want to help the defense or the plaintiffs, but it basically was the same thing he was alluding to in an earlier live that he did, I believe, at lunchtime yesterday, where he was saying he hopes that it is brought up in cross-examination today, you know, the fact that Tasha K was knowingly recording her friend without her friend knowing, and what was the intent for that, because only somebody who has nefarious and malicious intent is just up and recording people like this without their knowledge. And so it just doesn't, it's not a good look. How are you calling somebody a friend and you kept saying we in the call as if they are the one accord with you, but they don't know that they're being recorded by you? So, but yeah. But that was essentially most of it. That is what's taking place. And again, Mr. Dennis Byron said that he's going to do an update, of course, today at lunch. Then somebody in the chat shouted out the teddy bear, you know, the teddy that's on Tasha K's videos. And so he's like, you know, I like the teddy. And then somebody asked in the chat if this was the messiest trial that he has been a part of. And he said, yes, by far. But yeah, he just feels that the jury is going to feel a certain way about, you know, this phone call. Just because of, you know, it being under false pretenses, somebody recording without their knowledge, somebody trying to push a certain narrative because they already knew in advance the things that they wanted to say to make it as though, you know, they were in agreement with them, even though that person didn't know they were being recorded. So any type of feelings or emotions or things are said were basically manipulated because they didn't know that this was, they thought this was a genuine call they were having with a friend, and it was anything but. But again, you know, he also said, Mr. Dennis Byron, I think one of the final things he said was that he didn't hear anything that was like an affirmative defense that was for Tasha K. So, but yeah, that was essentially it. But yeah, again, just really quickly, just some of these lies that are, again, being pushed by some of the winos. Like, here's the thing. All of the things that you guys are saying in the comments, we have validated everything to what the truth is. And the truth is not what you are putting in the comments. So I don't know who's pushing this, what PR or whatever else. And there's still people who are running with the lie because they're saying, oh, because we don't have we can't see what's happening in the courtroom, so they're making up their own lies independent of people. But the literally the same 4 people have the same story. So how is that, you know, somebody is being biased or is making up things when everybody has their own independent platforms and their own different walks of life, and they all happen to have the same notes and the same story that all checks out? But you're trying to push a different narrative in the comments on content creators pages. You're trying to push another narrative on the certain people who are still Team Tasha K on their page. They're still putting out false narratives saying that, you know, the review was fake, saying the review was deleted, saying that Tasha K will win the case. Somebody was alleging that Tasha K was on some live saying that she still can win the case. Like, it's just a hot mess. And then, of course, the video that I referenced earlier where they completely translated the Cardi B video wrong and thought that it would be a win for the defense, and really it's a win for Cardi B. It's just awful. And so then somebody asked if Mr. Dennis Byron was an attorney, and he said no, but he said if he was an attorney, he would have advised Tasha K not to take this, not to touch this at all, because she had no chance. But this isn't over, you guys, because even after this, even after the jury rules, even after, you know, they assess how much in damages and everything else that happens from this, we still are going to have a perjury case and potentially a tax evasion case after this. So this is not over at all. Plus, however they are going to address the assets and the finances of Tasha K and her husband, if the assets are going to be frozen, if everything's just going to come out directly out of Google in those checks, this is not over. We still have a lot more to go of the fallout of all of this. And you did all of this for the clout, the money, the attention, all because Cardi B did not go on your show. And all because you couldn't handle her, you know, providing you the truth and telling you no. But it was okay for you to put on people who were not credible on your show and run with the lie and continue to repeat the lie in several videos after the fact. Like, it's just not okay. And so the issue at this point, it's not about money, because Cardi B doesn't need the money. But in this type of case, that is what damages and punitive damages and emotional distress and suffering, that is what all that's going to mean when the judge rules. So it's about setting an example and setting a precedent that this is not okay. And that there are many times to be amicable about this. And Tasha K, you know, thought this was a joke. Didn't think that any of this was real. And now everything is at stake of being lost. Everything that Tasha K has worked for. So that is on that. So let me know your guys' thoughts. That is all that I have to recap. I will be recapping the other video that Mr. Dennis Byron did shortly, and I will have that up for you guys so you guys can react. And then hopefully by that time, we should be getting a lunched update pretty soon of what took place in the courtroom this morning. So please stay tuned. It is going to be a very busy and active day today, because the judge wants this over. The judge is over this case. So we'll definitely be wrapping it up. So let me know your guys' thoughts. React. Let me know what you think to the summary of what Dennis Byron said in his live last night. And let me know. Those of you, if it's your first time viewing my channel, welcome. Please check out my playlist. I have a specific playlist for the Cardi B defamation lawsuit case against Tasha K that chronicles what has taken place each day in the trial in the courtroom, reported primarily by Dennis Byron. So please check out that playlist so you can check out what's been happening since day one from last week, so you guys can be all up to date of what's happening. Then also, those of you who have been supporting the channel and have come back for more and have been engaging in the comments, thank you. I am so grateful and appreciative of each and every single one of you. I do read all of your comments. IE Network, I am getting to replying to the comments, I promise. I'm not ignoring you. Please tell IE Network I'm not ignoring him. I will get to his comment shortly. Put that out there. At him. I am going to get to your comment, I promise. I'm trying to catch up. It's been crazy busy, but I promise I will catch up. I will respond to your comment. All right. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I will talk to you guys again very soon.